The Canadian prairies have long been a hotbed of political fervour. A spirit of independence runs deep in the hearts of many Albertans. This sentiment, often simmering beneath the surface, has recently roared back to life. The question is no longer whether Alberta will stay in Canada. The question is whether Canada can keep Alberta. The province finds itself at a crossroads, its future uncertain, its relationship with the federal government strained to the breaking point. The current political climate, fueled by economic anxieties and a sense of alienation from Ottawa, has breathed new life into the secessionist movement. A perfect storm of factors has converged to bring Alberta to this precipice. Premier Danielle Smith, a controversial figure both lauded and loathed, has emerged as a lightning rod in this debate. Her unwavering pursuit of provincial autonomy has put her on a collision course with the federal government. The stakes are high. A successful secession bid would fundamentally reshape the Canadian landscape, with far-reaching implications for the economy, politics and national identity. The outcome of this struggle will hinge on a complex interplay of factors, including public opinion, political maneuvering, and the willingness of both sides to compromise. As the drama unfolds, Canadians watch with bated breath, wondering if their nation can weather this storm or if it will be irrevocably broken. The prospect of secession has divided Albertans. Recent polls paint a picture of a province torn between loyalty and frustration. Support for independence is significant, particularly among those who feel politically and economically marginalized. A growing chorus of voices argues that Alberta's interests are no longer served by remaining within Canada. However, a sizable portion of the population remains wary of the risks and uncertainties associated with separation. They worry about the economic fallout, the potential loss of Canadian identity, and the impact on future generations. Many believe that dialogue and negotiation, rather than outright separation, offer the best path forward. This internal division is mirrored in the political landscape. Premier Smith's United Conservative Party has capitalized on secessionist sentiment, using it as leverage in its dealings with Ottawa. The opposition, while acknowledging the legitimacy of some of Alberta's grievances, cautions against rash action. They argue for a more measured approach, emphasizing the importance of national unity and cooperation. The debate over secession is not merely a political football, it is a deeply personal issue that has sparked heated discussions in homes, workplaces and community centres across the province. For many Albertans, it is a question of identity, belonging and their vision for the future. Premier Danielle Smith's tenure has been marked by confrontation with the federal government. She has emerged as a fierce advocate for Alberta's interests, often taking a hard line on issues such as energy policy, equalization payments, and provincial autonomy. Her critics accuse her of stoking separatist sentiment for political gain, putting Alberta on a dangerous path. Smith's demands from Ottawa are far-reaching and uncompromising. She has called for a complete overhaul of the equalization payment system, arguing that it unfairly disadvantages Alberta. She has also pushed for greater provincial control over natural resources, demanding that Ottawa cede authority over pipelines and energy projects. Her stance has been met with resistance from the federal government, which has accused her of being unreasonable and unwilling to compromise. Smith's supporters, however, view her as a courageous leader willing to stand up for Alberta's rights. They argue that her tough stance is necessary to secure a better deal for the province. They believe that her unwavering commitment to Alberta's interests will ultimately benefit all Albertans. The standoff between Smith and the federal government has created a climate of uncertainty and instability. The outcome of this high-stakes game of chicken remains to be seen. However, one thing is clear: the relationship between Alberta and Canada has been irrevocably altered. Section 4, Echoes of Brexit, a familiar playbook in Alberta's Secession Saga. The spectre of Brexit looms large over Alberta's secession debate. The parallels between the two movements are striking. Both are fueled by a potent mix of economic anxiety, cultural resentment, and a perception of being ignored by the political establishment. In both cases, a charismatic leader has emerged to channel this discontent, promising a brighter future outside of the existing political order. Just as the Leave campaign successfully tapped into a deep well of Euroscepticism in the United Kingdom, so too have Alberta's separatists exploited a vein of Western alienation that has long festered in Canadian politics. The language and tactics employed by both movements are eerily similar, emphasizing themes of sovereignty, self-determination, and taking back control. However, the comparison only goes so far. The UK's relationship with the European Union was always more arm's length than Canada's federal system. The economic and political integration that characterized the EU project was never fully embraced by Britain. In contrast, Alberta is deeply embedded within the Canadian Federation, both economically and socially. The lessons of Brexit for Alberta are complex and cautionary. The UK's experience demonstrates the ease with which populist rhetoric can overwhelm rational debate, leading to unintended consequences. It also highlights the importance of carefully weighing the costs and benefits of separation, rather than being swept away by emotional appeals. Section 5. A History of Grievances, Alberta's Long Road to Discontent. Alberta's current push for independence is not an isolated incident. It is the latest chapter in a long and complicated history of grievances with the federal government. The province has long felt misunderstood and marginalized by Ottawa, its concerns dismissed as Western whining. This sense of alienation has been exacerbated by policies perceived as detrimental to Alberta's interests, particularly in the energy sector. The National Energy Programme, introduced by Pierre Trudeau's government in the 1980s, is often cited as a turning point in Alberta's relationship with Ottawa. The programme, designed to secure Canadian energy self-sufficiency and ensure fair prices for consumers, was viewed by many Albertans as a direct attack on their province's economic engine. The deep resentment engendered by the NEP continues to resonate in Alberta politics today. More recently, the Trudeau government's climate change policies, particularly the carbon tax and increased environmental regulations, have further inflamed tensions. While these policies are lauded by environmentalists, they have been met with fierce resistance from Alberta's energy industry and its political allies. They argue that these measures unfairly penalize Alberta, jeopardizing jobs and economic growth. The cumulative effect of these perceived injustices has created a deep well of resentment towards the federal government, providing fertile ground for separatist sentiment to flourish. Section 6. Beyond Separation, the Myriad Challenges Facing Alberta. While the secession debate dominates headlines, it is essential to remember that Alberta faces a multitude of other pressing issues. The province's economy, heavily reliant on the volatile energy sector, continues to grapple with the challenges of fluctuating oil prices and the global transition to renewable energy. This economic uncertainty has had a ripple effect throughout Alberta society, impacting everything from employment rates to government revenues. The COVID-19 pandemic further exposed the vulnerabilities of Alberta's economy, leading to job losses and business closures. The province's healthcare system, already under strain, was pushed to its limits. The pandemic underscored the need for economic diversification and a more resilient healthcare infrastructure. Beyond these immediate challenges, Alberta also faces long-term structural issues. The province's population is growing rapidly, putting pressure on infrastructure and social services. Climate change poses a significant threat, with the potential for more frequent and severe droughts, floods, and wildfires. Addressing these complex and interconnected challenges will require innovative solutions and a willingness to collaborate across political divides. The focus on secession, while understandable given the depth of feeling involved, risks distracting from these other pressing issues. Alberta's future prosperity and well-being depend on finding a path forward that addresses both its political aspirations and its economic and social needs. Section 7. The referendum question, navigating a perilous path forward. As tensions escalate between Alberta and the federal government, the prospect of a referendum on independence looms larger. Premier Smith, emboldened by public opinion polls, has hinted at putting the question directly to Albertans. Such a move could inflame divisions and plunge Canada into uncharted constitutional waters. A referendum, even if it resulted in a vote against separation, would not resolve Alberta's discontent. It could leave a legacy of bitterness, making it difficult to rebuild trust. The potential economic fallout from a yes vote is another major concern. Uncertainty could lead to capital flight, job losses, and a decline in investment. The legal and constitutional ramifications of secession are complex and untested. There is no clear roadmap for a province leaving confederation. The division of assets, indigenous treaty rights, and interprovincial trade are thorny issues. Navigating this path requires political leadership, pragmatism, and compromise. The stakes are high not just for Alberta but for the future of Canada.